In June 1986, Argentina and England met in a World Cup quarter-final framed by violence and the memory of recent war. The game would feature arguably the finest goal in the history of football. And yet, it's better remembered for a different goal, one which remains notorious to this day. This is the story of that goal, now known as the Hand of God. At half-time, in front of nearly 115,000 people in a roasting Azteca stadium in Mexico City, Argentina and England had produced little more than a flurry of chances. Their footballing rivalry had reached a crescendo previously in 1966, when, during a different World Cup quarter-final, an ill-tempered game spiralled out of control. Argentinian captain Antonio Ratin was sent off, and at full time, despite his team winning, England manager Alf Ramsey prevented his players from swapping shirts with their opponents. In the aftermath, to add fuel to an already spitting fire, Ramsey branded the Argentinian players animals. His comments were perceived by some to be racially motivated, and even after 20 years, those wounds were yet to heal. Additionally, political relations between the two countries had reached a nadir 4 years before. In 1982, when the Argentinian invasion of the Falkland Islands, a British colony, provoked a brief, bloody conflict, as a result of which nearly 1,000 people lost their lives. By 1986, that was still fresh in the mind. Nevertheless, despite skirmishes in Mexico City before the game and a reported fist fight between a few supporters in the stadium itself, the lingering animosity remained beneath the surface. But the day itself would belong to Diego Maradona, Argentina's captain and probably the best player in the world at the time. 6 minutes after half-time, with the game still goalless, England's Steve Hodge hacked at a clearance, slicing it backwards into his penalty box. As it looped towards goalkeeper Peter Shilton, there seemed to be little danger. Maradona had kept running into the box, but at 5'5", he wasn't much of a match for the 6-foot Shilton. Or at least, he shouldn't have been. But as he jumped to contest Shilton for the ball, Maradona flicked his wrist up and sent the ball up and over the keeper and bouncing into the net. England players fumed, appealing furiously for handball, but the Tunisian referee, who'd had an obstructed view, ignored their protests, gave the goal and jogged back to the halfway line. Having shown the world his mischievous side, Maradona then unveiled his inarguable class. Picking up the ball on the halfway line, Maradona scythed through the England defence, beating 6 players before rounding Shilton and doubling Argentina's lead. It was the finest moment of Maradona's career, and in 2002, it was voted FIFA's goal of the century. But it remains, however, the second most famous goal from that game. Argentina would ultimately win 2-1 and would subsequently go on to win the tournament, beating Germany 3-2 in the final. But in the aftermath of the England victory, when Maradona was questioned about the legitimacy of his first goal, he admitted that it had been scored, a little with the head of Maradona and a little with the hand of God. In a 2019 documentary about his life, Maradona described the 1986 win as symbolic revenge over the English after Argentinian defeat during the Falklands. Over the years, he also revelled in the cheek of the goal and appeared to enjoy it as an act of defiance, perhaps even more so than the brilliance of his second in that game. In 2022, the shirt that Maradona wore in that game went up for auction, and when Sotheby's reported that an anonymous buyer had paid £7.1 million for it, the headlines around the world echoed the news that the Hand of God shirt had been sold, not the Goal of the Century shirt. And that neatly encapsulates the incident's lasting intrigue and its many layers of sporting, political, and cultural fascination. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic brings you the best sports journalism in the world in a personalised experience, connecting you with the stories and teams that you care about the most. There's coverage of 13 sports, plus direct access to world-class journalists through live Q&As, discussions and podcasts. And you can try it now for free for 30 days by clicking the link in the description.